Clark Lee and Mark Byington have been super aggressive in the portal.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Today's episode, we dive into Vandy's very productive weekend. In football, Clark Lee picked up 2 massive commits and allowed his offense to take steps forward. Mark Byington landed Jason Edwards, a very productive guard from North Texas. So how does Edwards fit into the lineup? Well, we're about to find out. For baseball, it's good news, bad news. Vandy boys take the series against Florida, but the story of the weekend is JD Thompson getting ejected. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. So Vanderbilt football, Clark Lee, and this offensive staff has added much needed depth on the offensive line. These new transfers should allow this offense now to take off because to me, it's an upgrade. And those 2 names, Cade McConnell, former Minnesota offensive lineman, 6'5", 310, and Stephen Hubbard, the 6'3", 315-pound offensive lineman from UTEP. So you guys know at this point the tale of the tape, but I don't have to tell you that that Hubbard was first-team All-Conference and All-American at Kilgore College. He was All-Conference USA honorable mention during 2022. He was part of the Miners rushing attack that totaled over 2,000 yards and 14 touchdowns. He appeared in the first 5 games of last season for UTEP. I believe he was injured, if I can remember correctly. And then Cade McConnell, he's 6'5", 310. He throughout his 2 seasons at Minnesota, McConnell did not appear in any games for the Gophers, but he does bring much needed size, and he is a former 3-star prospect coming out of Oklahoma. Was once committed to TCU, so he's got some talent, but just some things that didn't go his way in Minnesota, which is why I guess he was in the portal. I think he was probably buried on the depth chart a little bit. So what does this mean? Okay, that's the tail of the tape a little bit. These commitments are huge, man. So what does it mean, actually? So what it means is this, okay? Vandy has its starting lineup for the most part. Or at least the left side and possibly the center. I think Lasoya is going to end up being your center. And then you have Gunnar Hansen at left tackle. Gage Pitchford, who's been out for the entire spring, will look to be back during fall camp. He looks to slot in at the left guard position. So that leaves open competition for essentially the center spot, the guard, and the right tackle spot, which Grayson Morgan, I think, is somebody that factors into that race. Leighton Nelson was in that race, not anymore. He, obviously he hit the portal and probably was asked to hit the portal from what I understand. But with the couple of high schoolers that are coming in, and I'm thinking they're still going to add at least one more offensive lineman in the portal if I'm guessing correctly. But what this does is this gives you guys that, are coming in, whether or not they have actual game experience or not. I think just having big college guys to come in and just fill these spots, I think is absolutely massive. I mean, what you need for the right tackle spot is a big, long, primarily run blocking first guy. And that's what McConnell brings to you. And I think he factors right in at the right tackle spot. And I think he gives you immediate help there. I think he He's somebody that's talented enough. He was committed to TCU, ended up signing at Minnesota, probably got buried on the depth chart, but I think he's somebody that can come in, protect a quarterback, somebody that can get involved in the run game, block down on Jet Reed, somebody that's smart and can get it done. And I really like this signing because I think he was pretty heavily sought after as well. He had some other offers there, Iowa State, Kansas, Texas Tech, and SMU coming out of high school. I imagine a lot of those programs probably reached back out to him as well as soon as he hit the portal. But I mean, just this guy was, big, strong, has been in a Big Ten program. There's something to be said about that. Even a lot of times, some of these reserves in these bigger programs in these bigger conferences are pretty good. They just are a victim of circumstance. And again, it just gives you a nice piece there at the right tackle spot to be able to say, okay, hey, we can get this offense going. We can get a little footing in the run game. And okay, now we have a piece that we're pretty comfortable with so that some of these younger guys can continue to develop. Same with Hubbard. Hubbard brings veteran experience. Now, he was all conference in junior college. He was all conference honorable mention. So he is a little bit more productive. He has had time at both tackle and guard. He's only 6'3", so being a starting tackle is probably not in the cards for him. I'm thinking in this league he's going to jump down inside and play and be a factor in a guard role. But again, he's somebody that to be productive in such a run-heavy offense and an offense that produces a lot of yards and a lot of points on the ground is big and valuable for this team. Because what have we been saying about Tim Beck? Tim Beck is run first. He wants to have that identity of we're going to be a team that runs creatively, uses the quarterback and builds everything off of that. That seems to be kind of the identity that we're going for here. And he helps you bring that because he's somebody that is able to pull. He's able to combo. He's able to do a lot of different things. And most importantly, though, I think being that veteran presence, I think he brings a level of calmness to this offense and this offensive line unit to where, okay, he can communicate the calls. He can, he's been in different systems. He's seen it at the college level, and he can say, okay, well, this, he can bring his input there and be a factor, a leadership factor on this offensive line, and somebody that can really kind of get things going for Tim Beck and crew. So I think these two guys are going to help make this offense go. At worst case scenario, they're going to, their presence is going to push some of these guys that are already in camp to step up and take some of these roles. Either way, I think either they're going to come in, take these roles, and it's immediately going to be an upgrade, or somebody else is going to take these roles. They're going to push them, and it's going to be an upgrade. Either way, it benefits this offense and the leadership that they bring into this program, into a group that's not very deep right now due to, you lose one to a medical retirement, you lose one to the transfer portal. You don't have a whole lot of depth. You have some guys that are beat up, and you have a whole handful of guys that just don't have any playing experience. We have two high schoolers coming in the summer. You have a bunch of guys that haven't really got any time, and then you've got, Pitchford and Hansen who have played here, and then you got Losoya who has started at Mississippi State and played a bunch of snaps at Mississippi State in the SEC. So you've got a whole bunch of different playing experiences coming in, and so you just got to see kind of how they gel. But I think skill set wise, they all really fit, and that's what I really like. You have your interior guys are just big, athletic dudes that can move a little bit. They're also smart. Losoya's smart. He's going to likely lock down that center position. And I really like how this offensive line is starting to kind of take shape. I expect to have one or two more coming in from the portal, and that's going to be fun. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for some more offensive line moves on that. Also in football, part of this spectacular, productive weekend, they get a safety commit from Van Zale Hinton. That's right, Van Zale Hinton. He has moved. I think he used to be at Ooltewah, but he is now living in Paducah at Tillman High School in Paducah, Kentucky. He is, Coach Rice has a knack for bringing in these superstar safeties, man. 3-star guy, another guy like Kason Lawrence. He's somebody that when you watch him, he is, he is really good in space. He's physical. He has a knack for the football, and he's just somebody, again, that strikes me as versatile. So, I think, and we'll talk about this more as the week goes on, but I think you're starting to see an identity for this Vanderbilt football team. And right now that identity is defense. Like, you're starting to see a lot of defensive things, a lot of positive things on the defensive side of the ball kind of emerge right now. And that's phenomenal for this team. And that's phenomenal for what the direction of this program is going. So again, being aggressive in the portal is going to benefit you. Being aggressive with NIL is going to benefit you. I'll talk more about as we go. I got plenty of time between now and football season, but we'll talk about how, I love this NIL stuff. So, this is going to be a fun week to kind of unpack all of this. But what you're getting in these two offensive linemen are really good pieces, really good leadership pieces, really talented pieces that will factor and fit right into this run game. So, but the fun didn't just stop with Clark Lee and the football program. Mark Byington had a lot of fun as well. He nabbed him a commit while we were at it. Very productive guard. We'll talk about that here next. All right, this episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. That's right. You never know what you want until you want it, right? So in a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professionals on LinkedIn. That's right. Hire professionals professionally like a professional on LinkedIn because it's the professional thing to do. I get paid for however many professionals I use. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats also and might not have time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is consistently and constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So this is what you need to do. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. NFL mock draft. You betcha. The Locked On NFL mock draft is available now. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear the local Locked On experts, who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On mock draft available now on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. So as I said, Clark Lee in the football program had a very productive weekend. They wrapped up spring practice with a scrimmage. Obviously didn't have a spring game. We talked about that before. They wrapped up spring with a scrimmage, very productive scrimmage. They landed 2 offensive line commits out of the portal. They're getting ready to host a couple of wide receivers. They've been recruiting those. And, they got a high school commit, high school safety commit. Their second safety commit of this cycle. The other one is from Macaulay. And just absolutely crushing it on the high school recruiting trail so far. But that's not where the fun ended this weekend down on West End. Mark Byington and the basketball program has been steadily looking for ways to build this roster through, through the portal and through a bunch of different methods. I mean, they signed a couple of high school kids, but they're trying to kind of remake this and revamp this roster through the portal. So they've been very successful in doing so. On Thursday, they got Grant Huffman out of Davidson. They've also gotten on yesterday, they landed another commitment. So I formally welcome, and most of you know this by now, so I'm not breaking any news, but I just want to extend Locked On Vandy's formal welcome to Vandy Hoops, Jason Edwards. So welcome, Jason Edwards. So this is a massive, massive commit. And this tells me, and he was one of the best ones on the board. He's a scorer, man. If you don't know anything about him, about Jason Edwards, he's a scorer, and his game. I don't know that his game could be any more of a good fit for what Mark Byington wants to do. Mark Byington, his first few commits were very specific on like skill sets and what roles those skill set plays. Like you get Grant Huffman, your guard, your distributing guard that can shoot and drive if he needs to, but he really just wants to kind of distribute. And then you get now you get your scoring guard, right? To match up with him, to pair up with him. And what I really like about this lineup now is that you get a lot of versatility. And so with versatility and positionless basketball, I mean, I don't think that could be more perfect because, you have different things you can do with your lineup rotations. Like you can throw 4 guards out there and just run the opponent ragged. You could, 2 guards, 3 forwards, and he's still not done in the portal. So we'll kind of see how his personnel shakes out as you go. But I think just the biggest thing, and Joey Dwyer from VandySports.com wrote a really, really good article. You should go read it after you get done listening to this show. But I think the biggest thing that Mark Byington has really kind of brought to this is he's brought hope, man. He's brought the feeling of, hey, we actually have a chance at this thing, and this is a team that's going to be fun to watch. This is a team that's now can score. He's gotten physical pieces, guys that do well on defense. He has a guy that's good at shooting. Tyler Nickel from 3-point land as a winger, somebody that's got a little bit of length and can play a little bit on the defensive end and just kind of get some things going up and down the floor. But now he adds that scoring piece to where you get the ball in Edwards' hands, the things go into the bucket, right? Edwards is a guy that's gonna finish these opportunities, and he's gonna be your main guy. He's gonna be your Ezra Mannion, which that's a pretty lofty comparison, but I think that fits because he's the same kind of player. He can shoot, he can slash, he's quick, he can do a lot of different things. He can hurt you in a lot of different ways, and I for one am excited about it. And if you're a basketball fan, you should be excited about it as well because that's what he brings to the table. And by doing that, he opens up a lot of different possibilities for this basketball team. So again, another avenue is what Ezra, another avenue, and the reason why I compared him also is, and I know I'm talking like a mile a minute because, it's an exciting thing, but like one thing that he brings, and the intangible stuff that he brings also is super, super valuable to this team, because the confidence that he brings in being able to score and finish, you give your teammates a little bit of juice. Like anytime you're on a fast break and you can finish, or like you finish with an easy layup, or let's say you're on a fast break and you run a full loop, catching on the wing and pop a three, put a move on somebody and pop a three, especially at home when that crowd gets jacked up. His shot making ability, his scoring ability is going to help get the crowd back into the game. That's part of the allure, and that's part of the statement of he's going to bring Memorial Magic back. This is like the second level of that. Okay, well, when I said that at the beginning, you were probably thinking, why? Why is he going to bring Memorial Magic back? How is he going to bring Memorial Magic back? Well, this is a step in that direction. You've got now pieces. You've got a scorer now. You have a long wingman. You have a physical rebounding defensive forward. He's not like he's 6'8", 6'9", so he's not like a 7-footer, not a true, guy that's going to live in the paint, but he can move, he can play defense, and he's athletic and super physical and knows Mark Byington's coaching philosophy and coaching style and system the best, because he came over with him from James Madison. And then you get a leadership guy in Grant Huffman that comes in and can distribute the ball, can get things going, can kind of direct traffic a little bit, get the ball where it needs to go. Does it need to go to Nickel on this, or does it need to go to Edwards, or can we get everybody out of the paint and dump it down into Jalen Carey? Like he's the guy that's going to help direct traffic there and distribute. And then you have Vin Allen Lubin, who understands how to play in this building, understands the community, understands, and is going to help tie all of this together into the Vanderbilt culture that is set on campus, and that Mark Byington has a chance to redefine with tying all these pieces together. And he's not done. And we'll talk in other episodes about what he needs to continue to build this roster. But it's a good step in the right direction. And I think Jason Edwards is going to be a massive piece in this puzzle. And I'm excited to see what he can do. He's going to bring Memorial Magic back. He's a great, great piece, great get from Mark Byington. He's not done yet. But the Vandy boys, they bounce back a little bit. They take a series at home, drop the game 3. Good news, like I said in the open, good news, bad news, take the series, but JD Thompson gets ejected. How does that affect things? We'll talk about that more here next. All right, FanDuel. It's playoff time, and the playoffs are raging on in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. All right, welcome in. Segment number 3. We're going to wrap this thing up here in just a few minutes. Thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. We hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to the everydayers. Thank you for making all of this possible. And without you guys, none of this would be possible. So I appreciate every bit of it. Make sure you find us on social media at Locked On Vandy, X and IG. And again, thank you to the everydayers for making all this possible. So next, make sure you make Locked On SEC your next listen. Chris Gordy does a phenomenal job over there, and he brings it all together when it comes to the, conference. So make sure you check it out. But Vandy boys. They here's the good news. Take 2 out of 3, won the series, and get in the standings wise, gets in a little bit better position. But it's not great news as on Saturday you get a controversial loss, you get an ejection, and so what does that mean? What does that do for this program? So, first of all, before I get into that, 10-5 win on Thursday. Talked about how the Bats woke up. Finally, is that fool's gold? I don't know. We'll find out in the next series here. But here's the thing. How does this affect the team? Okay. Honestly, JD Thompson is not going to be available in the next series. The obvious is the pitching depth and the situation that you now have to shuffle things around with your pitching staff to make sure that your midweek game is covered and next weekend series is covered, because with some injuries, things like that, things have gotten a little tricky now because Ethan McIlvain, he tweaked his back, which I think ultimately he'll be okay, but well, you never know with those things. Backs can be very, very uncertain. So that happened. Devin Futrell is not, I don't know where he is in his rehab. I don't know if he's going to be ready or not, but I'm going to go with the doubtful at this point. Haven't heard anything like super earth shattering, like, oh, he's ready to roll. We just didn't feel like we needed him this weekend, but we're gearing him up for next. And so now you start to dip into your pitching depth a little bit. Now you're starting to kind of really reach into that pitching staff to kind of get something out of it, right? You now have to scramble a little bit. You now have to say, well, we've got to go with Grayson Carter as our third starter with Bryce Cunningham and Carter Holton. And so that's got to be the rotation you go with now. Whoever starts the midweek game that's to be determined. But that'll be something that is interesting. Maybe it's a game that you can afford to a little bit. But this, it's a game against UT Martin, so maybe on Tuesday, maybe it's something that you can afford to take a chance a little bit and throw maybe throw Guth out there, one of your freshman guys. So it's going to be interesting because I think this affects this because you're thin now, and this kind of puts you behind the 8 ball a little bit as far as being able to now you have to rely. What I'm saying is you have to rely on your starters going deep into these ball games, which may not always happen. You're playing Mississippi State, and it's not a given series, especially, well, it's a home series, so maybe a home series and it's alumni weekend. So, you're celebrating your national championship teams, and you're celebrating your students and your salute to service, and you're having all your special events, and maybe everybody's going to be feeling good Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So maybe that helps you a little bit, but you've got to come into Friday and Saturday hoping Cunningham and Holton go the distance or go as much of the distance as they possibly can, and then you're hoping that Sunday can be kind of your Johnny Holstaff type day. So again, it's going to be a lot of question marks, and you hope the same thing can happen with the young guys on Tuesday against UT Martin. You hope you don't have to dive deep into your bullpen there because you're going to be stretched thin a little bit over the weekend. So It's going to get interesting with the pitching staff. Now you're really going to see just how well Vandy has recruited, just how well Tim Corbin has recruited for at the pitcher spot. So that'll be interesting. But a couple things before we get out of here. They up until Saturday, they had won 17 straight at home at the Hawk. Had not lost since February 25th against Gonzaga. It's and 8 of those games were against SEC opponents. So that's pretty impressive. And the defense came to play a little bit. Some flash in the leather, some web gems, things like that. Defense have been a little shaky at times, but then this is it's interesting. So baseball's got some things to kind of sort out, and that's going to be kind of an interesting thing as this week unfolds, as you get some guys healthy, as you try to figure out your best lineup, and you're still chasing that elusive, consistent power from your lineup. So as baseball looks to continue to do that, you'll see it kind of shake out. But anyway, that's all that we have for you on today's episode. We hope you have a great week. We hope you've set you up for a great week. And we look forward to 4 more great episodes here as we get you closer and closer to football season, and hopefully closer and closer to Omaha if you believe in that type of thing. So catch us on YouTube, subscribe, tell a friend. Find us anywhere you find your podcast. Find us on social media. And thank you to the everydayers for making all this possible. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. But until then, you know the drill. Anchor down.